Well, welcome to another edition of our Missouri Valley Conference Cats Chats. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Ben Jacobson, the head coach of Northern Iowa, fresh off a victory over Drake, where the Lowhouse family, I'm going to feel old here, coming up big for you in this victory over Drake. All right, let's first talk about that victory, and then I want to go forward because your Valley start at 2-2 is a little bit show more consistency maybe than your non-conference. Let's first deal with this victory over Drake. How'd you get it done?
Yeah, we got a little bit lucky. You know, we've all been a part of some games that are going to be a 1 or 2 possession game, and the way that played out in the second half, it was going to go down to the last couple of possessions, if not the last possession, and we've all been on the end where we get a little bit unlucky and get beat. And last night we were on the end of it where we got a little bit lucky and able to win that basketball game. And now we did a lot of good things. When I say we got a little lucky, you know, it was 55-54 for the last either 6 or 7 possessions. Neither one of us scored until Spencer Haldeman made a couple free throws for us. And our guys defended really hard. Both teams played really hard. Drake had a couple good looks to take the lead. And weren't able to convert. We had a couple good looks to to extend the lead to 3 or 4 points. So it was a hard fought game, and we got a little bit lucky that we were able to come out of it with a win. But that doesn't mean we didn't play hard, and we didn't play pretty well at times.
So it's interesting in your career at Northern Iowa. You've had senior laden teams that have obviously had great success. You've had teams that have had really good non-conference wins, and then gone through the league. Where would you put this group about where you're at this point in the season in comparison, to years past, because this league is wide open right now?
Right. We are we're finally getting our feet underneath us a little bit as a result, mostly of having some injuries. We came into this year knowing that we were going to have a younger basketball team, but we felt really good about it. We felt like we could be 9, 10 guys, maybe even an 11th guy that could for sure, from a practice standpoint, making things really competitive and then being able to go to the game floor and have great depth, play a bunch of guys, although they were going to be young and for the most part not have a lot of experience. But we start the year, Tywan Pickford was tremendous last year as a freshman, and he had been hurt since he missed May, June, July with one injury, missed September, October with another injury. He's just kind of getting back to where he should be. Austin Fife was going to be our starting center. A medical condition popped up in October-ish, and he's out for the year now. We just lost a junior college transfer. He's out with a stress fracture right now, Andy. And then we just had a senior who had worked his way into the starting lineup and was really playing well for us the last 4 or 5 games. He tore his ACL 2 games ago. So when I say we're just getting our feet under us, it's been a year where we knew we were going to be young, but we've had a number of injuries, a couple early, a couple pop up here recently. Now, in saying that, we've played pretty good in Valley play. We played great at Bradley in the opener. We played good against Southern Illinois. They were able to get us on our home court, but we played pretty good in that game. It was a 1-point game against Illinois State at their place, and then last night we were able to get one. So we've played good here the last 4 games, and now we're down. We've kind of got what we've got right now from an injury standpoint.
So Valpo's off to the 4-0 start, but you've been in this league long enough that it's a slog to get to that end point. To win it this season, because there's so much balance. I mean, we've seen what Valpo's been able to do early. Indiana State's had some good non-conference wins and good showing there. I would never dismiss Loyola Chicago, obviously, with what they did last year. And you rattled off a bunch of teams, including yourselves and Bradley and certainly Evansville and Illinois State and Southern Illinois. I mean, you can go to the balance of power, one on down is razor thin in terms of the margin. What do you think it's going to take to win this league?
Well, you talk about winning on your home floor every year, right? Everybody, no matter what league you're in, you got to win your home games. Well, I just heard Mike Kern say this morning on the teleconference, league teams are 8-12 right now on the road. So we're almost split at 50-50 in road games right now. So I would say that probably means protecting your home floor is even more important this year, if that's possible, because as a league champion, that usually means you've gone undefeated on your home court, or maybe you've dropped one game. We've already dropped one, so we're going to need to do a great job at home here the rest of the way, and I think that would stand for the other teams in the league. I think because it is so close, and Missouri State, with Dana just getting that job and having a bunch of new guys, is really looked good here in Valley play, and able to win some games on the road. Indiana State has been good. Drake has been much better than what people thought going into the year with Darren getting that job late and having to retool that roster. And I talk about those teams because the 4 teams in Illinois had all the experience, and they still do. Any of the 4 of those teams could still make this happen. But the teams that were expected to be younger, maybe not as competitive this year, those teams are better than what people thought. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of us at 2-2 right now, and this thing's still really wide open as we continue.
One big picture question going forward here. I was in Iowa last month, and I know the Iowa State game is going to continue, but with the 20-game Big Ten schedule, Iowa's going to pull themselves out of playing Northern Iowa and Drake. And, it's a shame, but I understand where they're coming from. I get it. What does that do, though, for Northern Iowa in terms of a scheduling challenge going forward to maybe pick up, 1 or 2 other, key non-conference games that you guys sort of had built into your schedule by virtue of who you basically could play in your state?
Yeah, and that's the scheduling part of it. For us right now, that challenge is what you just said. And when I first got here, when I was working for MAC, it was both Iowa and Iowa State. So we had a Big Ten and a Big 12 game in the same year every year until it went back to 1 game a year. And now it goes to none. And so we've looked at, we started a home and home with Grand Canyon, and both of us, and I think a lot of people around the country are starting to find out, but they're terrific. And so teams, Grand Canyon teams like that. If we can find a way to get into some home and homes, they were at our place this year, we go there next year. We're talking to some other teams that would be in similar type situations to see if we can't fill some of those games. As we know, it's not going to be calling Wisconsin. It's not going to be calling Minnesota. Hey, let's start a home and home. It's not. We know that's not going to happen. Where we can get those games still is in the exempt events. We were in St. Thomas this past year. We were in the Battle for Atlantis 2 years ago. We've got a great one that we're in this next year with Wichita State, South Carolina, West Virginia. So continuing to get into the best exempt events we can to get some Power 5 games, and then going and looking for some home and homes with, as I mentioned, the likes of Grand Canyon and other teams that are in that same situation where maybe not nationally talked about the way the Power 5 teams are, but we both know, and the basketball people around the country know how good Grand Canyon is, how good Buffalo is, how good, you can keep going with a list of really good teams.
Well, Ben, I appreciate it. You guys are off to a very solid start at 2-2. You got a depleted roster, but as you said, this is what you got for the rest of the way. We'll be tracking it. Thanks, Ben.
Okay, thanks.